Hello and welcome to another very short tutorial of Affinity Photo where I'm going to explain you the develop persona. What is develop persona? If you're familiar with Photoshop, develop persona is essentially same as Adobe Camera Raw where you can do your global adjustment on your raw file. In Affinity Photo, you're obliged to go to the develop persona before you even do your local adjustment if you have a raw file. Let me show you exactly what that means. So I do open. When I do go to open, if I have some raw files, let me find a raw file for you. There you go, that's the one. So I have a raw file there, and it took me directly to the develop persona where I'm obliged to actually do my local adjustment, global adjustment before I go to the local adjustment with the via layer. So we are here. So I can do some global adjustment. It's underexposed. So what I do, I'm gonna up my exposure. That make sure I don't clip much. I have my clippers on anyway. So on top left top right corner, you have those three buttons, which if you enable them, it will show you if your color, exposure, or highlights are clipping, which is a very good tool. That's if you click this one, generally you snap whatever you're using. I don't really even bother to touch any of those. Honestly, it's not necessary. What I, however, pay attention to is a histogram. Then it's important tool here is a scope, where you can have different scope. My personal favorite is a vector scope, where you can see the colors are perfect or no. Here you can see everything is in the middle. Looks really good. I mean, that's a fantastic tool if you want to see your color targets are in the right direction. You have magenta, green, yellow, red, cyan, blue. It's a really good way to keep an eye on if you're a perfectionist about color. For now, I think my photo is toward a bit more red and blue. I can go to the white balance and then bring down the warmth, and then now it's more well balanced, and go to the bit of the green side. So far so good. So yeah, so that's an important tool. You can check your metadata, focus. Again, if your camera allows to register your autofocus region, you can enable it and it will show you exactly where you focused. Fantastic tool if you want to make sure that you are focused on the right spot. So that's another thing. And then in this section, you have the basic adjustment, pretty much white balance, exposure, color. Exposure department, you have all the necessary tools. Then you have the enhance, where you can make sure your contrast and saturations are good. You have your white balance section. You have your basic shadow and highlights and profiles. If you want to, if you are printing your photograph, such as for books or for album, you can always select Adobe RGB. Personally, that's what I recommend. And if you're applying for web, then you can stick to sRGB. And in the lens, generally everything is automatic, should be fine. But if you're using third party like Rokinon or Tamron or Sigma, they allow you to have a bunch of lens profile from the list, and it's quite rich, to be honest with you. I'm very satisfied. You have all kind of lenses in the world, almost. And you can also make sure keep an eye on your chromatic aberration, defringe, and vignette of your lens. And you can add post crop vignette if you're interested. Again, that's something that you should do after everything. Okay, but I'm going to show you exactly what it does. So it just does add a little bit of vignette around your photograph and make sure that it's focusing on point of interest. Well, that's done. And then in the detail section, you have noise reduction. This is not a noisy photo, but if you do have, you should apply some kind of automatic raw noise reduction. If not, you can decide for yourself how much noise reduction you want to apply on the color or in luminance. Detail refinement is also some kind of like a sharpness. Essentially, you should not play too much with each slider. Stick to the minimum. Curves, black and white, and split toning, again I leave it all for my photo persona, and I like to do them in layers. And overlay, again, they allow you to do something like Lightroom, bit of like a layer workflow. Again, if I decide to do some layer workflow anyway, I rather just do it into the actual workspace. However, there's empty space. What I can do, let's say here, I prefer to do a little bit of curve. There, my shadow to midtone looks good. I click here so that it doesn't do a much of a change there. What I can do, I can bump it up this section a little bit. You never go really up or down like that. You have to do a smooth transition. So never be aggressive. Stick to a nice and smooth flow, especially when you're using the curve. Curve is very powerful, but if you screw up, photo can look bad. So this is development persona. You also have crop and white balance tool. Each of them you can use it. Again, you have them to use them. I personally like to do everything in the layer, but this is how it works in development persona. Once you are done, you click develop, and then it will take you directly to the layer adjustment area where you can do your local adjustment. If you are using Affinity Photo or any application as such, I'm sure you are working on your photo, each photo, you're gonna spend about, I don't know, depends on photograph, 15 minutes to hours. So you have to be very patient, and you should do local adjustment, not many global adjustment. If you follow those rules, you should be able to create beautiful photographs. By the way, if you like this photo, please feel free to ask me, and I will email you, and you can use it anywhere you like. That's a gift. And if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe.